Ben Affleck has Ben Affleck's daughter, I guess we should say non-binary offspring now, recently came out as genderqueer of some variety at her grandfather's funeral.
Well, that's when it's, you know what it is? She's like, I'm not doing a soft launch. I'm doing a hard launch.
Yes, Ben Affleck's daughter hard launched her trans identity at her grandfather's funeral.
Yes.
That's what happened. So she revealed that she's going by a new name. So her former name is Serafina Rose, but now she goes by the name Finn, and presumably new pronouns as well. Finn introduced themselves by their new name before reading a Bible verse to the congregation at Christ Church United Methodist in Charleston, West Virginia on Saturday. Finn has been pictured with new short cropped hair. I mean, that's an understatement. It's a buzz cut in February this year, but the funeral was the first time that the actor's kid introduced themselves in public with a new name. And this funeral was streamed on Facebook, which is obviously why the media knows. And I'm sure that she knows that the media knows and that this is going to make headlines.
There's a $20 super chat here from...
Tophone Man.
Yep.
Civil War Movie Fund. Also, hey, Mary, looking good as always. Thanks. Well, I mean, we already have tickets to Civil War, I have to be honest, and we're just not sure if we're going to go.
I am so surprised at this development. I really would expect you guys to be like, yeah, let's go see it.
I don't care.
That's okay.
I never cared.
I mean,
from the very beginning,
Unless
I never
you
cared
guys,
about this movie.
unless you guys riot if we don't review.
Even if you riot,
I mean, you can riot, like have fun with that.
What I would have liked is if it was just a disaster movie. Like there's explosions in the trailer of anything. I don't want a story. I don't want to talk about how great journalists are. I don't want to talk about the cultural divide between California and Texas and the rest of the country. I just want to watch monuments blow up. That's what I want.
Mm-hmm. Well, they have plenty of that.
I want to see it, but I don't want to see it enough to go anywhere to see it. So when it comes out on
context, by the way, this girl is Jennifer Garner's daughter with Ben Affleck. This girl is not related to J-Lo, but J-Lo is her stepmother, and presumably very supportive of this because J-Lo's own biological daughter also has adopted a transgender identity.
Shocking.
As well. 2-in-1 family.
The odds are like 1,000,000,000 to 1.
Ben Affleck's 15-year-old daughter just changed her name and is now identifying as trans. J-Lo's daughter also recently came out as non-binary. 2-in-1 family. What are the chances?
Also,
having an LGBTQ kid is trendy in Hollywood. It's like having the latest designer bag.
Actually, this is Amir King said this because remember, Charlize Theron also has 2 trans children. There was also the lady who worked for Disney for the Reimagine Tomorrow who talked about having 2 kids, one that was non-binary and one that was trans. But yeah.
Well, this also came up when Robbie Starbuck talked about living in the same neighborhood as Megan Fox. So he said that he brought his kid to the playground and Megan Fox's kids were there with their nanny and they started like literally crying and complaining about how they're being forced to wear girl clothes. And these are boys being forced into gender neutrality at the expense of like developing normally as males. So clearly there's a pattern here, not just with Hollywood, but also the rest of society. But like these 2 girls are reportedly quite close as step siblings now. And it's clearly written social contagion here, not just from the internet, but
like this
Hollywood
one.
in general.
I like this one. It says, anybody want to say anything? It says, I'm trans. What I think someone should do
did the meme.
when somebody goes to like a wedding, this is, if anybody knows any reason why these 2 should not wed, speak now or forever hold your peace. Say, I don't know about that, but I wanted to let you know that I'm trans.
We should look at the video. I want to
Yes, we can watch the video.
hear the announcement.
Here we go.
Coming out of the closet in 2024 is almost an oxymoron, but let's try hear it.
Here it is. I don't remember if how the volume is, but let's hope it's hold on. Yes. Is it not playing the audio? Oh,
Chapter 16, verse Hello, my name is Finn Affleck. I'm reading verse 8. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 8. Better is a little with righteousness than large income with injustice.
Wait, that's all?
That's all it is. Yep.
That is extremely low key.
Yes.
So it is.
Okay, why? I just don't understand why the announcement of your name is a part of that anyway.
Well, because that was the I'm coming out. So it was actually way more like understated than kind of like what you're expecting.
The article
like,
makes it seem like it's going to be
yeah,
far
like
more
it's,
like
I'm
I
coming
let you all know
out
that I'm
just so
Well,
you
no,
know, blah blah blah. Yeah.
in
so.
a Catholic church, at least, we don't go up like.
I didn't say that it was in
and
good.
say our name.
I didn't say that it was in good taste. I didn't say that she was right. What I'm saying is that it was significantly understated.
Well, I'm just wondering if this is something normal in a Methodist church. That you
okay.
announce
Right.
yourself before you read from scripture.
I think that it was because she wanted to be like, hey, I'm changing, who I am. All in the family, like all the families are here now. It's my opportunity to say that I'm Finn now. Everybody hears it, get it out of the way. It probably is in bad taste. Shouldn't have done it, but it is different to what the headlines imply.
Exactly.
The headline implies, she goes up there and says, hey, I'm just here. I need to let you all know that I'm no longer blah, blah, blah. I'm coming out as blah, blah, blah. And that's one thing, and that is obviously the idea that they wanted you to have because they wanted you to click it. But the actual thing is way more understated, and it's like, all right, okay, that's way less of an issue the way she did it than it kind of comes than the way it sounds when you just read the headline.
But like you couldn't have waited,
of course,
until the reception. You
Agreed.
couldn't have like put that in the family group chat or anything
100%
like that.
don't disagree. 100% don't disagree with you at all. But the point of it was,
like the fact that, I mean, it was like this meme, get in there and make it about you.
Yes, 100%.
Like, it really is a cry for attention. And I honestly, that makes sense if you try to like armchair with what their family must be like.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy that your parents, I guess now, are J-Lo and Ben Affleck. Like J-Lo is the biggest attention 304 in existence. She just made like a 3-part movie series about her remarriage.
The most narcissistic movie made in Hollywood history.
She's incredibly narcissistic. And yeah, like growing up in a famous family like that can't be good for a kid's development or like their own identity. And you're like having paparazzi follow you around. You're not known for anything except for who you're related to.
You have to find yourself. You have to find what you're good at. And those teen years are not easy. And right now, this just happens to be the social contagion that's popular while you're going through those formative years.
When maybe 15 years ago, they would have like had an eating disorder. And I'm not saying that's good. I'm not saying those things are like good things that should be celebrated or encouraged in any way. But at least in those situations, if the social contagion were something like, drugs, alcohol, or an eating disorder or something like that, it's reversible. Yeah. But when you go down this path as an underage child into trans identity, you get medicalized and put on irreversible treatments and sometimes mutilated surgically. So like, it's way higher risk, and now your parents get valorized in the media, which they love because they're celebrities and they're narcissists. They get valorized for supporting you in your journey, and it's this toxic symbiotic relationship that develops there. Seems like it would definitely appeal to someone like Jennifer Lopez, that's for sure. But it's really sad.
Yep.
It's really sad to see girls intentionally anathematizing their femininity like this.
And it's even more prevalent in Hollywood just because, like you said, the parents they benefit greatly from endorsing.
If 100%. I were, Ben Affleck or J-Lo, and my teenage daughter is trying her best to completely erase her femininity, go by a different name, go by different pronouns and everything like that, and regrettably some things that are even further down the line than that, I would sit them down and I would be like, here, let's watch this interview of Elliot Page. And I would be like, so how does that sound to you like in 20 years? Do you want to be like this? Do you want to look like this? Do you want to sound like this? Like that's really the risk that they're taking.
Yeah.
Because we can look at Elliot Page and see this deeply unhappy, deeply uncomfortable and insecure person. That's aside from the surface level. Like, we could see in that interview, it wasn't just that this person looks unattractive. That's like the barely scratching the surface.
They look unhealthy.
Elliot Page could barely make eye contact with the person in front of her. It was deeply saddening to see that, because even though you're saying to the world, like, I finally love myself, you're clearly deep in the trenches of self-hatred.
We need like one celebrity to come out that looks like a woman that looks like an Elliot Page. Just like, nope, I'm a tomboy.
I think
just
we
embrace the tomboy.
might need a celebrity to detransition.
It won't matter because the media won't talk about it. It's kind of like, what was it? Is it Amazon? No, it's Disney that will support you and pay for your transition, but they will not pay for detransition.
That's insane.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of like
It
the
only goes one way.
detransitioning community said, like, we don't get proper medical care for getting off of these drugs or reversing any of these surgeries, because now you're not a cash flow for big pharma anymore.
And that's the long and the short of it, right? Is that it all comes back to the medicalization and the money that's made through the pharmaceutical industry.
I think that that's where the motivation to promote a lot of it comes from, or a lot of it comes from the motivation to promote this stuff in conjunction with the ideologues. So the ideologues are the ones that have come up with the theory that believe this stuff. They're the ones that believe that you have a gender spirit and that it's your sex soul, which is exactly what they're talking about when they describe it. But and you have to change your body to match your sex soul because they're crazy, weird pagans or whatever. Those people really believe it. But the people that are funding it are the people that have interest in it. So pharmaceutical companies and stuff like that, they're the ones that will lobby for, or they will help lobby for these kind of treatments or these kind of procedures. So that way they can say, oh, well, that way they have a built-in clientele.
Yeah.
When this happened, you mentioned an eating disorder or drugs. They medicalize that as well too, meaning long-term maintenance care programs for drugs that keep you going back to a pharmaceutical company every month, right? So you get hooked on heroin and then you go to rehab and you get clean, but they wean you off with Suboxone and they keep you on the Suboxone indefinitely, which keeps you going back to a doctor monthly, sometimes weekly, to continue to get your doses. Some places you'll have to go every day to get your dose, right? And then you can earn your way to a weekly dosage and then to a monthly dosage. But either way, you're going back, you're using copay, you're using money to fund this.
I understand, but there are degrees to these things, and like, it's much, much worse for people who have gone down the transition pipeline.
I'm just saying, I'm just drawing a connection to the Hollywood.
It's so much more extreme. Yeah. And like, I think I read...
I think there's more drug addicts than there are people transitioning right now.
The extremity of the injustice being done to them, I believe, is worse. That's my belief. And also, I think I read that the industry for gender transition procedures and services of gender-affirming care is larger than the film industry now. Like, I think it's evaluated at $200 billion.
Yep, I see it.
At this point, and only getting bigger probably.
And that will continue to grow because people like Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez will be valorized and supported for, pushing.
I really strongly don't think it's Ben Affleck. I feel bad for the guy. Every time I see
you say that by not pushing back, it's Ben Affleck by default?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, I think that there are a lot of men that are in positions where they don't know how to to put their foot down and say this is to set up boundaries, because I think that a lot of people, like a lot of times women respond to, especially in Hollywood and stuff like that, women will respond to men setting up boundaries as if the man is doing something completely and totally out of hand. He said no to this, and that means it's abuse, it's blah, 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 and all sorts of manipulation to go ahead.
I mean, he might get custody taken away from him.
There are
This has happened to
I mean,
plenty of people less rich and fortunate.
100%. If he says I don't want to do it, he could totally get like, oh well, you can't see your kids anymore. That's the call. This Child Protective Services.
Sarah Finn comes up and says, "I'm Finn now," and it's just the meme of him outside smoking after Sarah Finn tells him that he's Finn.
That's it. I mean, and that's honestly, like, you see all kinds of pictures and videos of him, like, walking around with J-Lo and stuff, and he's just constantly, like, you can see he's just, like, F.
Like,
It's just, like, his shoulders are just, like, he's, like, F constantly.
He's
like,
just letting it all wash over him, like he doesn't even care anymore.
Well, he's just, like, he's, like, it is...
Duncan is the only thing keeping him alive anymore.
It's like, there's no point in fighting because he's in a position where if he... And by fighting, I mean pushing back, because he's in a position where he is completely doomed if he tries anything. Like, I don't know what their personal lives are like, but if any of the women in his life want... And he says, I don't want this for my kid. And they're like, well, guess what? It's happening. And then he's like, well, I don't want it. The government will side 100% with the mother. And particularly
and
when
the
it
media.
Yeah, and the media. Yeah, he's doomed.
Like,
He has no recourse. He is doomed. So...
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.